Hello, and welcome to Conquering Finale. My name is Jason Lafredo, and today we are once again simplifying simple entry. I'm going to show you how to modify notes and rests once they're already in your score using simple entry. And as you're all well aware of at this point, using simple entry, there's two different shortcut tables, one for an extended keyboard that has a number pad and one for a laptop. Most of these key commands are the same for both layouts, but where there are small differences, I'll point them out as we're going. But for right now, what I have set is the default shortcut table, which will use the number pad. Okay. So just to review a little bit about navigation, once you're in the simple entry tool, if option clicking in any measure will get you where you want to go. Okay. Option clicking on any note will highlight that note, by the way. All right, or that chord. Okay. And of course, when you have the caret active, then up and down will move the caret position on the staff, and command right and left will move the caret, and up and down will move the caret between measures on the score. And the other thing I wanted to mention that is once you have things highlighted, in order to change the highlighted note in this chord, right? So from here you can see that I just have the C highlighted. I can do that by pressing Command up. Will highlight the next note up, and again up for the next one, down, etc. And if I wanted to highlight them all, you just choose Command A, and it will highlight all in that chord. And then from here, when you go right and left, it will continue to highlight every chord. And if you have a whole chord highlighted, Command up again will select the top one, keep Command down, and then incidentally, if you're highlighting the lower one and move to the right, it will keep the lower one highlighted, middle, etc., just like that. Right? That's sort of how that works. And by the way, if you're at the bottom one and you press Command down again, and you have a staff available, it's going to move you down to the next staff. All right. So that's a little bit about navigation and selection with simple entry in this manner. Okay, so we know about deletion, right? So we can delete, if we have something highlighted, we just delete it, and of course it moves everything over to the left. Shift clear will also do the same thing if you have a number pad, if you're using that default keyboard shortcut set. And also, if you have a single note in a chord selected, like I've got that F selected right now, and delete will get rid of just that note, right? If I were to delete again, I would get rid of the A, and then one more time, since that's a single note, it would delete that whole beat, and everything would move over, all right? If I happen to have the whole chord selected, and I hit delete, it would do what you would expect, and it would move the whole passage over to the left like that, all right? So that is how that works. There's another way to delete notes in simple entry, and there's actually a tool for this in the tool palette, in the simple tool palette. It's the very first one. It's this eraser tool, and we can get to it by clicking it, or we can actually use the keystrokes Option Delete, and it will change over to that eraser tool. And with the extended keyboard, Option Clear will also do the same thing, right? So Option Delete for either layout, but Option Clear will also do it. And once you have this, you can see that your cursor has that little eraser. And again, you just click on a note and it will erase it. And click on a note. And if you're clicking on a chord, if you can get right to the note head, you can clear just that note in that chord. All right. It's a little tricky though. You have to make sure you're in the right spot. If you're not in the right spot, if you're a little bit above it, it will delete the whole chord. All right. So that's how that works. See, I didn't quite get that C. There we go. All right. So that is the eraser tool. Now we know that we can change notes to rests, right? Just by pressing R, we get something highlighted, we change that to a rest, right? Easily. And R will toggle it back to a note, and it always toggles it back to the middle line, all right? And if you have a single note highlighted in the chord, pressing R will change that to a rest anyway, whether or not you have one or all of the notes in that chord highlighted. It will always go to a rest, okay? Once you have something highlighted, we can change pitches fairly easy, and literally all we have to do is use the up and down arrows to move it up and down the staff, all right? And just choose another one and move it up or down. And Shift up will go up an octave, Shift down will go down an octave. And if we have a single note highlighted, it will only move that note, all right? If we have the whole chord highlighted, it will move the whole chord. All right, so again, just, you know, be careful about what you've got selected and what you want to move, but it's fairly easily done from that, all right? There is another way to actually move notes using the mouse. There's a note mover tool, which is the second, or they call it the repitch tool. It's the second tool in the simple tool palette. And we can get to that with the mouse, obviously, you can just select it, or Shift Accent will change over to that repitch tool, or Shift R with the extended keyboard layout. Command R is what you'd need for the laptop layout. I'm not quite sure why there's that small difference between those two layouts, but that's what it is. All right, so Command R for laptop, Shift R for default, and Shift Accent for both. Okay, we'll get you to that repitch tool. Once you're in that repitch tool, you'll get a different kind of cursor. It's got a note head with no stems or anything. And once you hover over the beat, if you click with the mouse, it'll change it to wherever pitch that you're hovering in, right? And if you go over a chord, it's going to change the entire chord to a single note, all right? So just be aware that that's what's going to happen. All right. That is the repitch tool. Where are we? Changing rhythms. So it's fairly easy to change rhythms in Simple Entry as well. Once you have a note highlighted, all you have to do is use the Option key with any number corresponding to the rhythm that you want to change it to. So if I wanted to change that quarter note to an eighth note, just press Option 4, right? Option 5 will get it back to a quarter note. If you press Option 6, it's going to tell you can't do it because it's too many beats in that measure. All right, Option 3 for 16th, etc. And that will work with any set of numbers in the number pad or the number row. If you've got the extended keyboard, the number pad will do that. A couple things to know about this. To get a 128th note, you can do Option 0, and on an extended keyboard, it's either 0 will do that. I just did that two different ways with different zeros. And with an extended keyboard, with the extended keyboard shortcut set, Option Shift Accent will also change it to a 128th note. That will not work with a laptop layout for some reason, and I don't know why it even works with the default layout. But that's another option for you. Option Shift Accent, right? But Option 0 will definitely get you the 128th note, regardless. All right. And let's talk. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention about that is it doesn't matter, again, whether you have one note in a chord selected or the whole chord selected. If you only have one note, it will change the entire chord, right? So it's not gonna change that to a different voice and put an eighth note there or something, all right? So let's talk about enharmonics. So in the second line here, I've got this weird little bar that should have some different accidentals, and so let's fix that. So we've got the F sharp here, right? So let's select that F sharp, Option click it, right? To change that F sharp to a G flat, just use the backward slash key, all right? And backward slash again, we'll toggle it back to the F sharp. And then I've got another one over here, this E flat would probably be better as a D sharp, so backward slash, all right? So that is enharmonics. And incidentally, if you have the entire chord selected, actually, let me go back and show you this. So I've got this funky B major chord spelled incorrectly. If I have the whole chord selected instead of the single note and I use the backward slash, what Finale is going to do is it's going to cycle through all possibilities of combinations for those enharmonic pitches, right? So B major, now that changed the B to C flat, and it changes the E and the G, right? You can kind of see how that's working. So occasionally you can do this, select the whole thing, and just keep pressing the backward slash until you get the version of the chord that you want, all right? To hide and show accidentals, like in this case, we might want to show this F natural here. We can do Command Shift minus, and that it's either minus on the main part of the keyboard or in the number pad will do the same thing. So a Command Shift minus, and it will toggle it on and off. The P key will basically give you a parentheses for courtesy accidentals. And if you press P again, it will just get rid of the parentheses, and P will toggle those parentheses on and off, right? And you would have to hide that again if you don't want to see it with Command-Shift minus. There is one thing to be careful about the combination of this. So in this third system, I've got a key signature here, and I've got this G sharp. If I select this, if I were to show that G sharp, right, and then hide that G sharp, and then do a enharmonic change on it with a backward slash, like now I want to make it an A flat, it'll put it on the A, and that is A flat, but the thing is that you showed the accidental and then hid the accidental, and then after you hid the accidental, you change the enharmonic. So Finale is not quite understanding that you really want to see that accidental again, all right? So just be careful using the combination of enharmonics and show and hide accidentals, because sometimes you could get into a situation like this where you think that's an A natural, but if you unhide that accidental, you realize that it is an A flat, all right? And again, the backward slash to create the enharmonic will be showing that G sharp. So, you know, once you kind of change that hidden property of the accidentals, it's sort of permanent show or permanent hide, okay? If that makes sense. Let's see, what's next? Hiding notes. We can hide notes and rests with the H key. So I've got that G highlighted there. Just press H and it goes away, and H it'll show again. And I've got this over here on the second system, this rest. If we wanted to hide that rest, we'll go into the second layer, select the rest, and hit H, and it'll go away. All right. Again, the same thing with chords. If you have a single pitch of a chord selected and you press H, it will hide the entire chord. It's not going to hide a single note within a chord. All right, so just be aware of that. Stems. Yes, let's talk about stems. We can flip the stems, like if for some reason we wanted the stem on that C to go upwards, we can use the L key and it will go up. And then the L key will bring it back, okay? So that's how you would flip a stem. We can do things with beams in Simple Entry as well. Let's go down to this measure over here. There's a couple options here. We can break the beams very easily with the main slash key. And I say main, I mean in the main part of the keyboard, the slash key will break the beams. Or if we want to do something like this. And slash will also join the beams and sort of toggle back and forth between broken and not broken. Broken and joined, I guess, would be the right way to do that. And then one other thing you can do is once you have something like this, option slash will give you flat beams, right? And option slash will toggle it on and off. Flat beam, you can see flat beam if you want to see flat beams, okay? So that's slash and option slash for flat beams, all right? Ties. There's a way to flip ties, and we've got this crazy situation that Finale gives us by default in this D minor 7 chord right here, where it looks like the ties are crossing. It's not a great way of doing this. So if we select that D, we can flip that tie with Command F, okay? And if we go up to the F, we can flip that tie with Command F as well if we want to change that, all right? And so that's how that works. Just Command F will be able to flip the tie any direction that you want, all right? And finally, there's one thing I want to talk about in Simple Entry. In the Simple Entry tool palette, from here on over to the right, so talking about dots, sharps, flats, naturals, plus minus a half, ties, triplets, and grace notes, we can actually do some things with these tools and the mouse alone, right? So let's say what I mean by this is if I select the dot, right, and then unselect the rhythm. Now you can see I've got the quarter note rhythm highlighted there. If I unselect it, now I've only got the dot selected, right? From here, I can go into my score and actually just add the dot to any note. Now it's going to be the dot is going to be a little tricky because it's only going to work if you have nothing in the measures, and I had to sort of force Finale to put nothing in these measures, right? So if I try to put it over here, it's going to tell me that it's too many beats, right? So we'll only work on in certain circumstances with a dot, right? But we could also do sharps. Just check, select the sharp without any other rhythm, and then you can literally just go through and put sharps on any note that you want. All right, easy enough. Same thing with flat. Again, just put a flat anywhere you want. All right, same thing with natural. Now this will only work, obviously, if you've got something like this where the G sharp is natural or the C sharp. If you try to put a natural on a C in the key of C, nothing's going to happen, right? Because it's already in the key. And then plus half step. All right, we can change everything up a half step, minus a half step, everything down a half step. All right, and if you've got notes here to get a double flat, as well as ties. Now with ties, this is where it can get a little tricky because you can actually tie the whole chord in this instance, right? If you're a little bit above or a little bit below the chord. But if you're really careful and get in the center of that D, you can tie just the D or just the G. If you get in the center of it, just the B, right? And then again, if you click somewhere above or below, it will toggle the whole tie chord, all right? And triplets as well. We can just honestly just create a triplet just by clicking on it, and that will create a quarter note triplet in that way, right? Or right there, I suppose. And if you do it here in the third beat, it will create it and then give you a rest that you can go in and fill in later if you want, all right? And then the same thing with grace notes. Just select the grace note and just click on a pitch, and it turns it into a grace note. And click it again, and it toggles it on and off, right? So that's another way to, modify some of the things in, the right half of this simple entry tool palette. You can just do it directly with your mouse, all right? So that was, I think I covered everything. Let me just double check. Yep. So, that's modifying entries with simple entry. I hope this has been helpful. And thanks for watching. And come back, we'll do one more video on some of the advanced options in simple entry that you have at your disposal. All right, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.